and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I am Heena Goswami, Editorial Consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. We are here on the sidelines of an international conference being organized by IGPP in collaboration with CSSS, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, Justice Liburg University, Gießen, and German Research Foundation, Germany. The conference, Environmental Policy Discourses since the 1960s, Politics, Problems, and Narratives of Environmental Policies in Europe and Asia, is an attempt to bridge narratives and inquire into the discourses of environmental policies that have governed Europe and Asia since the 1960s. Academicians, experts, policymakers, and researchers are gathered in New Delhi, and today we have with us the keynote speaker for the conference, Professor Anand Kumar. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
Professor Anand Kumar was a professor and chairperson of Center for the Study of Social Systems, JNU, before he formally retired in 2014. He has been a student leader at BHU, JNU, and Chicago, a teacher in BHU and JNU in India, and has been a visiting professor at many institutions across the globe in his academic career that has spanned over 3 decades. He has been actively advocating for social and political causes, including but not limited to students' rights issues and the cause of Tibet. The canvas of his experience and expertise is very wide, and we cannot cover even a fraction of it in this short duration. For this interview on the sidelines of the conference, we would like to stick to just a few questions around his views on the environment and social challenges of the contemporary world, and to know if any of the isms, including socialism, have an answer to them. Once again, welcome to IGPP Expert Talk, sir. As I said in the introduction, that it was really confusing what to ask, what to leave. So I'll begin with a statement of your keynote speech at the conference. You said, and I quote, "I stand here before you as the representative of the failed generation." What do you really mean when you say the failed generation? You said this in the context of environment, but please elaborate for our viewers what and where your generation failed for the cause of environment.
Every generation has its assets and liabilities. The previous generation gives you certain achievements, certain dividends, and there are certain incomplete tasks and assignments which they initiated but could not complete, or where they failed. So there are set of problems. In our case, the generation which was born soon after independence, the post-colonial first generation born between 48 and maybe 55 or 57, had golden opportunity of making India a good country, a sane society, and a country engaged in sustainable nation building with a message for the world. We were also given great space in terms of expanding horizon of education, new opportunities of employment, and of course participation in policy making, decision making through getting elected to assemblies and parliament. There was a premium on being young. Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister, first 15 years, then Indira Gandhi, then Rajiv Gandhi, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and Manmohan Singh, none of them reversed this process of encouraging the young to explore the horizons of possibility. We also had a great political capital in the form of legacy of sacrifices for the cause of a better tomorrow. Of course, we had crystallization of all this in the form of a great constitution, which was quite flexible, elastic. So if need be, it could also be changed. We got educated, we got opportunities, but when we became some of the policy makers or some of the destiny makers, we started losing perspective. First, we lost the perspective of human society. We became narrow nationalists. Then we lost the perspective of being a good patriot. We became caste-centric, region-centric. There were a number of regional movements in the name of education or other grounds. So that was first destabilization of the national consensus. And then we felt that there is a great divide between North and South on the issue of language. It was an unfortunate turn and twist where on both sides of the Vindhyachal, we had colliding generations. Secondly, we also became more attracted to the global possibilities, Western possibilities. There was a phase of brain drain. We were given very cheap education at IITs, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Central Universities of India. And where did we go after getting educated? We started landing bag and baggage in Silicon Valley, in America, Canada, Australia, Europe, brain drain. It was not caused by the British. It was not created by Chinese or Pakistani. It was our own dream, which was very personal, very selfish, very individualistic. There was nothing patriotic about it. The NRI syndrome. Then thirdly, we also got agitated about some of the policies of the then government. Education policy, employment policy, corruption at high places. And we got great leadership of a noble leader like Jayaprakash Narayan. And the country rallied behind Jayaprakash Narayan. He also suffered imprisonment for his blessing the youth against corruption. We wanted a corruption-free India. But when the new government came in power in 1977, none of the promises were implemented by the then Janata Party government. Great disappointment. And who failed it? Not Indira Gandhi, not Congress, they were already defeated. It was Janata Party, where a lot of spaces were allotted to the young people. Many of our friends were made member of parliament, many of them were made ministers, but they failed. After 77, we had another chance with VP Singh, and Shri VP Singh came as a messenger of morality, a masiha for a better tomorrow. But what happened with VP Singh ji? He introduced a new element in Indian politics, that was backwardness and forwardness. There was already a social engineering project in the form of reservation for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. You could have enlarged it with national consensus as it was done between Nehru and Ambedkar, Gandhi and Ambedkar. No, you created a situation of divide and rule. So we again failed. Neither the upper caste youth nor the backward caste youth had patience or caliber or capacity to be container of Protestant country, solve the problem, which was later on solved by Supreme Court in the form of provision of no reservation for creamy layer, but good reservation for others. Then came the issue of gender justice, and we became very male-centric. We became killers of our wives, dowry deaths, violence against women. Till today, India is one of those countries which is facing global scrutiny about how Indian women are treated by post-colonial society. And the women are saying, "Agle janam mo hai, bitiya na kijo." To be a woman is a punishment, is a life in fear. So these are a few things. But when we zero in on the environment, we were totally blind about the needs of Mother Earth. We were totally fascinated by the Western project of industrialization, which was treating the nature with benign neglect. That the river is going to be there, mountain is going to be there, flora, fauna, biodiversity. No, it has to be saved, protected, just like you protect your mother, you protect Mother Earth. So, putting together all these failures, I have no pride, great penance, great shame that India was failed by the generation which was given all the pampering, all the opportunities, and all the possibilities to make the country better. We did not do it.
You spoke of industrialization, and I'll pick up from there that the last century saw the first half of the century saw the two devastating world war, and the second half there was rapid industrial production and growth in between 70s to the 90s, and then there was the era of LPG and globalization. Do you think there's a link between all these developments, between the devastating wars and the, then rapid industrialization and
It seems that
globalization?
we were indifferent about the lessons of the two wars. These two wars were basically fought among the European nation states around the limits of industrialization, market economy. It was battle for markets. It is spread over colonies also. But when we became free, in spite of a very sincere warning by Gandhi, we failed to see the limits of Western type of capitalist industrialization, where we went for city-centric thinking. And we thought that all villages will be benefiting from our exercises. It was called trickle-down theory. Then came the time of damage control. And Indira Gandhi ji led the nation with the promise of Garibi Hatao. Now, who caused this Garibi? Of course, the colonial past was there, and we were left decimated by the British in 1947. But then Jawaharlal ji and his advisors and rest of the leaders of the country at that time thought that the future goes via industrialization. Gandhi thought otherwise. First, you look at the last person, meaning landless laborer, small cultivators. They were the majority of the country, illiterate men and women. You start from there. We started from the top. We created IITs, no doubt, central universities, all these modern temples, major projects of electricity generation, irrigation. But that did not reach the last men and women. So Indiraji, instead of going for a paradigm shift, went for populist politics, Garibi Hatao. Now that sounds very interesting and very attractive, but Garibi is caused by years of failures and mistakes and wrong priorities. So Garibi will go only after years of hard work, as it happened with Bangladesh. They started with small savings of women and men in Bangladesh, and they said that we learned it from Gandhi. Today Bangladesh is ahead of India. It started with Seva in Ahmedabad, Self-Employed Women Association. It started with small landholding consolidation in Bengal, with Panchayati Raj in Karnataka and Kerala and Kashmir. So you had to have patience. Indiraji promised move, and when she started failing, there was revolt, demand of total revolution, which caused emergency. So instead of moving forward, we tried to hold back as much as possible our old democracy, party system, election system. So as you say, there was industrialization and we had faith in industrialization, but it had to be agro-industrial change. We ignored agriculture. And then came Naxalism, then came rural violence, then came other forms of regionalism. So we got into a wrong track. And as we are a democracy, obviously we cannot hope to be guided by statesmen. We were guided by politicians. What is the difference between a statesman and politician? Statesmen think about next generation. Politicians think about only next election. So we kept on drifting from election to election. And the winners, given our election system, took all. There was no respect for voices from the opposition. So there was no space for self-criticism. And that created a very big, you can say, slide, slippery slope of going downwards. Today, we have given up on nearly one-fourth of the country, which is living in very difficult circumstances. Nearly 800 million people are receiving subsidized food. One-fourth of the country has been declared infected by left-wing extremism. Who are these people? Why are they so angry? Why they don't have any sense of belonging to the constitution or to the nation? Because they were waiting for all these years, neither school, nor health, nor water, nor electricity. So we are living with two or three Indias. One India very prosperous, very attractive enough for global capital, global technology. The other India trying to catch up, middle town India. But the rest of India is left behind, and we cannot go together like this.
You mentioned industrialization and how that led to a city-centric approach to growth. And one feels that when we talk about two, three Indias, there's also in the prosperous India that there's the trend of consumerism. Do you think that has also negatively affected the environment today?
You see, consumerism is some kind of legitimizing culture of greed, and that greed was going to be a poison for our Swaraj. It was an alert or a warning by our freedom struggle. Gandhiji had explained that we did not lose our freedom to the British because of their superiority, because of their honesty, integrity, knowledge, power. No, no, no. It was also not lost because of petty fight between Rajas and Nawabs and others. We lost our freedom, our dignity because of greed. East India Company came with some promising projects of making money, and we got trapped in that. So he wanted, and that's how it happened that we were able to regain freedom when a few 100,000 people decided to live beyond greed. They lived life for the others. But now consumerism legitimizes greed. I have a pair of shoes, there's good advertisement, I want to buy another one. And there is a range of prices. So this consumerism was a culture of affluence. And this left behind many people. They were not left behind psychologically. They were feeling relative deprivation. They were feeling anger. So they went to wrong means, and that promoted corruption all the way from bottom to the top. Everybody became money maker. Rather than nation building, we became makers of money. And today, all political processes are financed by this money power. Most of the life is around money power. Money is making India go around, whether it is teaching, schooling for children, care of health in hospitals, making a house. Tell me one place where your honesty pays. No place. Is this a happy situation? No. So consumerism is culture of greed, and we should shun it as far as possible.
Uh, Indian culture and philosophy has been, to talk of environment, Indian culture and philosophy has been supportive of and there has been the idea of care for environment, and what West has defined as environmental movements have always been part of our everyday life since generations. But today all that is changing. Who do you blame for that? And was it a is it like a conspiracy or just a natural progression of time and market
No,
forces?
it is not conspiracy. I don't think that either Indian bureaucrats or Indian industrialists or Indian politicians have conspired against ecological health of India. It is taking the wrong route. When you make a wrong turn, you cannot blame the driver. You cannot blame the passenger or the vehicle. It is the road which is taking you to wrong direction, away and away and away from real destination. And you have to check it. You have to allow criticism. You have to allow others to tell. You want to go to Kedarnath? No, my dear, you are going to Kerala. Turn around. Or you want to go to Kerala? No, this road takes you to Kashmir. So this wrong turn has created this problem. And this wrong turn was because of our faith in science and technology. We thought that no matter what, science and technology will help us. And we took our nature for granted. Just like we take our parents for granted, we care for our own journey, our own education, health, marriage, family. And we think that mother and father are there. They gave us birth and they gave us all this which we have. They'll be there forever. No, no, no. They are not going to be there forever. You have to take care of their health. So is the situation with our rivers. Indian society is much more much more amenable to the idea of protecting environment. Nowhere in the world you call a river mother, a mountain father, a forest place of wisdom. Nowhere. So we have this in our culture, in our tradition. But there is a mismatch between culture and economics, tradition and modernity. So look at Delhi, for example. Most pampered city in the country, capital of the country, most educated people, biggest power centers. But what have we done with Jamuna? We call Jamuna Mata, we praise it, we worship it. But look at the amount of filth we are pouring on a daily basis, minute to minute to minute. And governments have changed, but Jamuna remains a victim. Ganga, Godavari, so, and same with the mountains. Thanks to Chipko movement, to Nyamgiri tribals in Orissa, that we have become afraid of people's anger, and they are now watching out for any large dam, any large mining operation, any large scale civilization, what you call city building. So it is people's protest now that has some hope that no, we don't want this, we reject it, we resist it. And that's where I think our constitution will also help. But tradition is going to be great asset compared to the Western societies. We have a positivity and a built-in care and constraint. Hopefully, our environment movement and our policymakers will converge with this traditional ethos.
We talked about consumerism and how you think it's a legitimizing force for greed, and it was also something that Gandhiji in his book, in his seminal work, Hind Swaraj, has warned us already of the problems related to environment when he said that, there's enough for everybody's need, but there's not enough for everybody's greed. And these are the problems that we see today. Where do you think, as a society, what did we miss? Where did we fail?
I think we had a problem between long-term perspective and short-term perspective. We had a problem between individualism and collectivism. We thought that I take care of my needs and rest of it will be managed by our government. We thought that we can make a mistake and government will do the correction. And therefore, we now blame the politicians. Look at my lifestyle, your lifestyle, our needs. How much of it is essential and how much of it is complementary, cosmetic. So, I think it is a wrong ideology where we took our freedom for granted, our unity for granted, our nature for granted, and we believed in our leaders a little too much. Leaders are as fallible as ordinary men and women, and many leaders made compromises in favor of contractor lobby, what they call real estate lobby, boom mafia, jal mafia, jungle mafia. I mean, mafia and masses got changed. They changed their positions. Instead of listening to the masses, we started listening to mafia. And now we all feel ashamed. Hardly any part of the country, except maybe some isolated districts which are so-called backward districts. Rest of the country is in the grip of this culture of contractor, short-term gains, sell everything, commodify. They are now killing our rivers by sand mafia. If there is no river bed, how will the river flow? We have already become alert about jungle mafia by making a national audit every annual report about environment, how much of forest cover is recreated. You you uh, you uproot one tree, you must plant 10 more trees. These are new customs. These are new laws. I'm not a pessimist. I think that we have learned from our mistakes. But as I said, my generation's time is over. Those who were born in 1950s, they must vacate places of policy making for the younger people. Younger people are much more alert. My generation grew up with Thanda Mane Coca-Cola. Your generation and younger people, you offer them Coke, they'll throw it in. Similarly, about smoking. My generation used to enjoy scenes of smoking in films. Today, hardly any film is there where smoking is celebrated. So, tobacco lobby, all these consumerists or what you call frills of life, they are becoming more conscious. So I hope that people, the teenagers of today and the younger generation will control the damage and make it recover.